appreciation from Mrs. Smriti Irani, former HRD Minister, for her excellent result at CBSE from GBMS. She is also winner of NDTV Pearson Teaching Award Certificate of Excellence for teaching social science at secondary level 2012. Ma'am, the coming 1 hour will be really wonderful for us, and I have many more things I'll share with the teachers. But now, over to you. We are waiting eagerly to hear from you. We welcome you, ma'am. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Am I audible? Yeah. Thank you so very much. I am deeply humbled by that long introduction that you gave. Ma'am, is your team recording this session? The session needs to be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are recording because it needs to be recorded.
Yes, it's a mandatory videography, so I don't see it being recorded. Yeah, now that it started proper. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So first thing I'd like request everyone rather to have the videos on, and preferably we'll use the chat box. Please use the chat box to directly to not the host, but I will change the settings. Or maybe Pradeep ji can change the settings to have the chat enabled only to me.
Yeah, Pradeep, please change the setting. And ma'am, about the camera, because we are in very rural areas, so some of me cannot switch on their cameras, but if they will switch on camera, they will be cracking. So those who are in the good network area, we request you to please switch on the camera. Others, if you have network issue, you can put off. Am I right, ma'am? With your permission.
Yes, why not? If people can, then Zoom is the best platform to have the camera on. If they can't, no issues at all. So please do not worry. If you can have the camera on, it's very, very good. Now, before we begin, I normally do start with a prayer, and I will start with a very short prayer. So please allow me to share my screen. Is it audible and visible?
Yes, yes.
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति
So thank you very much for praying along. And now we shall start with the main session. I shall just within a moment share the PPT. Doesn't go full screen. Okay. Okay, and I believe Pradeep sir is still the host. Please add participants who need to come in and join. While presenting, it does become a bit difficult to constantly add these people in. So today our topic is experiential learning. And in the 1 hour that's assigned to me, I'd like to take it through MI and the Kolb'S cycle. MI is the multiple intelligence. So now, please have the chat on and tell me, what does this picture symbolize to you? Keep the chat going. What does? Okay, coming outside the school, children are not happy. But are they happy to get into a school like this? Screen is frozen. Yes, even I thought as much. Recording in progress. I think now it's not frozen. Okay, they are emotionless when they come out of the school. Thank you, Daljit ji. What else do we see? While entering school, they are very, very happy. Perfect. That is what I was looking for. You see the tree behind them. They are so very happy when they are outside school. And when they are in the school, look at the school. It's like an industry. It is manufacturing an output, a product. Look at that. The track on which automobiles are manufactured. The assembly line. You can see the children coming out as graduates from an industry, a production house. What happy children had gone in and see the output. Is this what our school education is all about? Yes, Sadanand Beraji is very rightly pointing out, making children machines. Their entire thought process, their life, Pradeep Das himself says creativity and intelligence have been exhausted when they come out. Perfect. These are wonderful interpretations of a simple image that I have on screen for you. So the reason why I am showing you this is because our education system has killed the creativity and intelligence in our children. It has killed the happiness that we want to see in our children. Now, to bring back that happiness, we have this experiential learning handbook or manual, whatever you say, by the CBSE. And a very interesting thing, this manual talks about two important characters, right as their names are, Padkar Kumar. So Padkar Kumar is the gentleman who is the Kitabi Kida, and he is the one who can read and write and, goes by the book. And Karkar Kumari is the little girl who is going to try out experiential learning or experimenting or hands-on learning at every stage of her education journey. So, as they say, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बनोगे नवाब, खेल खेल में हम सीखते हैं जनाब. This is the difference between Padkar Kumar and Karkar Kumari, whose story is given in the Experiential Learning Manual. So now quickly, I'll stop sharing my screen and I give you about a minute. Okay, everybody, I give a minute. You are going to draw a house on a paper. Take any small chit of paper and quickly draw a house. Everybody. You could take a pen, pencil, anything that is around you, colors, anything. And in 1 minute, quickly draw a house. Let me see quickly. How many of you have now drawn? Have you all finished drawing the house? Yes. So Subhojit Ganguly ji has drawn a nice, wonderful house with the triangles, squares, and rectangles. Farhat Parveen ji, I'm not able to see it clearly. It would be nice if it could come closer to the camera. Okay, so Sadanand Beraji has drawn a nice house with 4 stands below it. The factory kind of house. Good, good. Piali Shaw ma'am, nice square and rectangle. Daljit ji, nice square, rectangle, triangle. The principal ma'am has also drawn a house, but now she's disappeared from my screen. Okay, so Pradeep Das ji was there. Tilottama ma'am, yes, a nice, lovely yellow house. And Rakhi Kumari ji has also got a similar one. Sumana Das ji, Pradeep ji. GHATSILA Jhumpa Bar also has got a nice one. Jeff Richard. Sarita Bhusal. Divya Kumari ji, I'm not able to see the house clearly, but I can make out it's the one with the triangle, and then there is another thing behind it, the original house that we used to draw with the square and the rectangle in front. Yes. So your house is more like Sarita Bhusal ji's house, Divya Kumari ji. That's how I see it. So does Rakhi Kumari ji have a similar house? Okay. So now did I tell everyone to draw a house? Sumana Das ji, thank you. So you can stop sharing your houses and you can share yourselves back onto screen. But if you notice, I did not ask you to share the same kind of house, right? I gave you the liberty of creating a house. I just mentioned draw a house. Not once did I say what kind of a house. And what surprised me was everybody had the same kind of house, more or less. Very, very few of you had a different kind of a house, right? So now I'm going to go back to where we were to share my screen. Just allow me to share my screen again. Yes. I think my screen is visible. And 135 crore people across the globe, or sorry, across India, that is the entire population of India, has a single idea of making the same scenery in childhood, which was this kind of a house with mountains, sun, birds, trees. And had I just asked you to draw a house today, had I asked you to draw a scenery, all the participants, all 21 of you would have drawn the same scenery. Am I right? So now, what is this the result of? The factory called school that all of us are products of. All of us had a teacher in school who told us, घर तो घर बनाना है, ऐसे बनता है, एक ट्रायंगल बनाओ, पीछे एक ऐसा स्क्वायर बनाओ, उसके साइड में ऐसे करो, नीचे एक और स्क्वायर बनाओ, रेक्टेंगल से दरवाजा बनाओ, स्क्वायर से खिड़की बनाओ, ऐसे माउंटेन्स बनते हैं. And all of us have had the same kind of house. Okay. And the same scenery. But what does experiential learning say? Our classroom should look like this. Why? Why should our classrooms look like this? There should be corners where students have the liberty to do what they like. A library corner, a story time corner, a sand play corner. They could go out and play in the open, an art corner, a water play corner, a corner for social and emotional development. So they are there together, team building, or brainstorming, conceptualizing, or you've given them some kind of a task to do, like a think, pair, square, share, and they are all working on it. So this kind of a class would then be a happy class. Now, these are the younger students, but the older classes that you teach would again be based on similar parameters. This in particular is the Kolb'S cycle. And he says that you need to have 4 distinct measures. So you have concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. This is your complete cycle. Okay, I'm going to hide this panel. So that you don't get the black strip on your screen. Now, if you see the concrete experience and abstract conceptualization are the perceptions, whereas active experimentation to reflective observation is a process. Concrete experience to reflective observation is divergent thinking. And reflective observation to abstract conceptualization is assimilating or intellectual. Abstract conceptualization to active experimentation will lead you to convergent thinking or a practical approach. And finally, as you move to the concrete experience, you're going to be an accommodating social approach. So how do we see each of these? The concrete experience is where the learner cannot learn merely by reading or observing. He needs to actively participate in the experience by feeling it with all the 5 senses. The idea is to immerse in the experience and learn. Reflective observation is the second stage, where the learner reflects at the situation before forming an opinion. The learner must reflect upon the present by connecting it to his past experiences. Reflective observation focuses on observing and perceiving. Then we come to conceptualization or abstract conceptualization. The learner creates theories to explain his experiences. In this stage, the learner gathers and analyzes information and draws conclusions. Sometimes it may challenge the pre-existing concept. This focuses on learning by thinking. And finally, you have the active experimentation, which is the final stage, where the learner applies what he has learned while learning by doing. The learner can enter a learning cycle at any stage, but must go through all 4 stages to complete his learning cycle. So this is very important. Whether you enter at stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3 or stage 4, whichever part of the cycle you enter, you must complete the entire cycle. So once again, I shall stop sharing my screen. I want to show you this video of the Kolb'S cycle of experiential learning. Yes. Please tell me if you can hear and see both. Is the sound audible?
Into Kolb's learning cycle and explore Kolb's learning styles. Your learning style describes the unique way you spiral through the cycle. For example, your learning style is influenced by your genetic makeup, your life experiences, and the demands of your present environment. So let's begin by looking at some learning characteristics of the cycle. Each person has their own way or preferred way of learning. There is no right or wrong way on how a learner spirals through the experiential learning cycle. How a learner enters the cycle of learning depends on his or her individual preferences to learning. So you might ask, what is my preference of learning? Previous research has shown that learning styles are influenced by your culture, your personality type, your education specialization, career choices, and your current job role and tasks. Through Kolb's research, he discovered 4 patterns of learning as they relate to the learning cycle. The first is known as the accommodating style, which falls between your active experimentation, doing and actually performing a task, and your concrete experiences. What is the feeling of that experience? The second is known as the divergent style, which falls between your concrete experience, how you feel about that experience and learning opportunity, and your reflective observation, maybe watching or seeing how other people attack the project. Third is the assimilating style, which falls between your reflective observation, watching, and abstract conceptualization. After you watch, perhaps you might do some research and read about a particular problem. And fourth is the convergent style, which falls between your active experimentation, which is doing, and your abstract conceptualization, which is thinking and doing research. Remember that learning is a continuous process grounded in your experience, and you move through the cycle integrating your actions, your observations, your concepts, and your judgments. In the next few slides, we're going to explore these 4 learning styles more deeply. The first is the accommodating style. Learners with this style like to work in teams, and their approach to learning is more trial and error. When learning, they ask themselves what-if type questions. They like concrete experiences, and they like active experimentation as dominant learning ability. People with this learning style have the ability to learn primarily from hands-on experience. They enjoy carrying out plans and involving themselves in new and challenging experiences. They have a tendency to act on their gut feeling rather than logical analysis. They rely more heavily on people for information than on their own technical analysis. Learners with this style, they gravitate to action-oriented careers such as marketing and sales, business, education. As a formal learning style, these learners prefer to work with others to get assignments done, set goals, do field work, and test out different approaches to completing a project. Next is the diverging style. Learners with this style like to work in teams as well, but their approach to learning is about observing others and everything around them. When learning, they ask themselves why-type questions. They like concrete experiences and reflective observation as dominant learning abilities. People with this learning style are best at viewing concrete situations from many different points of view. They're labeled diverging because a person performs better in situations that call for generation of ideas, such as brainstorming sessions. People with this style have broad cultural interests and like to gather information. They are interested in people and tend to be imaginative and emotional. Learners with this style gravitate to the dramatic arts, or language, or journalism. As a formal learning style, these learners prefer to work in groups, listen with an open mind, and receive personalized feedback. The third is the assimilating style. Learners with this style like to work independently. They like to work on abstract concepts and prefer a logical approach. They like to plan and do research, like inductive reasoning. When learning, they ask themselves, what is there to know type questions. They like abstract conceptualization and reflective observation as their dominant learning style. People with these learning styles are best at understanding a wide range of information and putting it into concise logical form. Assimilators believe that it's more important that a theory have logic soundness than practical value. Learners with this style gravitate to the sciences, to the agriculture, to mathematics, to physics. As a formal learning style, these learners prefer reading, lectures, exploring analytical models, and having time to think things through. And fourth, the converging style. Learners with this style like to work independently. They like to work on problems, for example, technical tasks and theories, and they like deductive reasoning. When learning, they ask themselves how-type questions. They like abstract conceptualization and active experimentation as dominant learning abilities. People with this learning style are best at finding practical uses for ideas and theories. They have the ability to solve problems and make decisions based on finding solutions to questions or problems. They prefer to deal with technical tasks and problems rather than with social and interpersonal issues. Learners with this style gravitate to technology, business, engineering careers. As a formal learning style, these learners prefer to experiment with new ideas, simulations, laboratories, assignments, and practical applications. Remember, learning styles are not a fixed psychological trait, but a consistent pattern of transactions between the individual and his or her environment.
My job is to make college easier.
Sorry for that. Those advertisements of YouTube just keep coming in. But yes, I hope the Kolb's learning cycle with the 4 parts were made clear to you with the help of this particular video on the Kolb's cycle of experiential learning. So once again, we head back to the presentation. And you can see that experiential learning has 4 major benefits. It builds competencies, merging theory with practice. Learning by experiencing is far more effective and long-lasting. It builds ground for self-motivation and exploration. And it offers opportunities to students to think freely and operate differently without losing their confidence. So now I have this example from, I think it's Poverty as a Challenge of grade 9 economics. And in this case, you can see that if you were to draw up a plan, this is an additional concrete experience given. Children are given subgroups and a freeze frame can be taken up to enact roles or a scene where people are cleaning a home, a street, or a park. So what is the concrete experience? Students will be asked to conduct a preliminary survey of people who clean their homes, road, parks near the vicinity. They will share the experience in their class groups, probably have a short film showcasing the differentiating the lives of the privileged and the underprivileged. This will lead to reflective observation, where reading case studies and presenting data on poverty and its reasons on following parameters like landlessness, unemployment, family size, illiteracy, poor health, malnutrition, child labor will be taken up. Abstract conceptualization, where students will analyze, tabulate data, equip themselves with the skills of presenting data in the form of diagrams, line graphs. This will enable learners to understand interstate disparities, the global poverty scenario, and active experimentation, which will help them identify the cause of poverty, suggested measures on the basis of stories discussed in the class. Conduct a Nukkad Natak highlighting the vicious cycle of poverty. So when you see these kind of things, when you assign your class these kind of topics, it is possible to give an experiential learning approach to any topic. Now, when we talk of experiential learning, these are the most important strategies used in experiential learning, like role play, field trip, films and documentaries, videos, projects. You can invite guest speakers, have portfolios, art-based activities, group learning by students, peer tutoring, games and puzzles, etc. And each of these activities has a very, very long-lasting impact on students. I'm going to show you one or two examples from my students. So art integration also has a similar thing, and we have a topic coming up on art integration when I shall deal with it in detail. So currently I want to show you some of the experiences that my students have shared in experiential learning. So being a social science teacher, one fine day we decided to have a role play. Are you able to see the screen? So one fine day we decided to have a role play, and it was to be a musical role play. And our topic was nationalism in India, grade 10. And we said that we wanted it to be not that it was any kind of a competition, but to initiate students into the process of doing a role play on their own. We were only going to take a back seat and facilitate the role play, but students had to do it on their own, right from scripting it to enacting it to performing it, and then it would be recorded by the school. So you can see how once we had put in, see if you read to the left side, hey Tensi, hope you're really practicing, or will the other class win this round for sure? Wait and watch. And you can see other classes and other students of 10C, 10B, everybody putting in their comments. So there is a little experiential learning happening. The work has begun. The teacher gets a feedback. that students have started working. Now I'm going to click on this video. This is kind of an introductory video that the students have prepared for this particular topic. So they wanted the teacher to sit back and understand what they think. So when you go to see something that looks so very simple, but when you initiate a role play, when you tell them it's going to be musical, so you're going to be using their multiple intelligences, you're going to be using their skills of film production, bringing in music, dialogue, script, language, logic, what comes next, teamwork, because as a class, they have to put up a role play. They have to get into costumes and jewelry and whether they need it or they don't need it. If somebody is going to be Gandhi, like this was civil disobedience movement, so all they needed was a Gandhi and maybe one or two ladies dressed in that white sari. But after that, they needed the entire population of the nation to join in to break the salt law. But the way they have designed that introductory video, the way they have scripted it, the way they say, okay, we have started our work. And then this was the class which in the actual performance of the role play, played some Gandhi song in the background. I think it was Sabarmati ke Sant mein kar diya salam. That song they were playing, or they were playing 2-3 other songs as Gandhiji walked that entire distance from his ashram to Dandi, the Sabarmati ashram to Dandi. The children had all kinds of songs playing in the background, and they had all kinds of speeches happening in between, people welcoming Gandhiji. So it's their creativity. And as a teacher, when you see that kind of a performance, you realize that, okay, I have taught this as a concept, but the teaching has gone much beyond the classroom to understand that what has come out of it is not just a scripted role play picked up from a textbook or the internet. It is something that they have understood, internalized, and are now performing. So that is the way one needs to progress with these things. So I'll move back to my screen share. Okay, this is an image of the students who had gone, like I told you, experiential learning involves a field trip. So some of these students had gone on a field trip. Now we are in an urban area, Tier 1 city in Mumbai. And students do not really know what it is to be in a rural area, what it is to be in a tribal area, what it is to grow different crops. So some of these students went on a field trip and they interacted with tribal children. So the children in the white uniform, those boys you can see in the background, are the tribal children, and the girls and some of the others are our students. And you can see the boys had challenged our students to pierce a needle through the balloon without bursting the balloon. Now that's a very important concept taught in physics. One would wonder if students of a Tier 1 city could actually do that. But as we say, Padkar Kumars, all of them only are bookworms. They only read the book. Rote learning takes priority. And look at the children in the tribal village. They're all happy. You can see our students struggling, whereas the boy from the tribal region, he has actually pierced the needle. He's holding the balloon in both hands. The needle is popping out at both sides. Look at this. They have all these absolute rural things. On the picture to the top right talks about doing tables, multiplication of 3 with pebbles. You keep putting three pebbles in the right left-hand column, and you multiply it by 3, and you get your answer to the right-hand column. Then the left hand, where you can see the map, there are 4 maps on that, and it says find out where we are. So on the world, you can see red inked India. In the red inked India, you can see red inked Maharashtra. In the red inked Maharashtra, you can see the district where they were, and in the district, you can see the village where they had gone. That is how it was like find out where we are. And then you can see down below in the picture where the girls are sitting, there are mathematical concepts, geometrical concepts being taught through games. And the tribal children are sharing how to create these geometrical concepts. You can see the triangles and the squares being taught. And to the right, you can see the lunar and solar eclipse, which the tribal children have put up. At the same time, tribal children in Maharashtra are very famous for Varli art. Maharashtra is very well known for its local Varli art. So the urban children took one class with the tribal teachers. So the left image is of the Varli art that the tribals have done. The image on top of the right-hand column is the one that our students have drawn. And then you can see the children, of course, when children go out, they love playing. The top 2 pictures are cultural celebrations of the rural and urban children. We had a lovely time with dance, music. We had a tabla player amongst us. They had a harmonium player amongst them. So we had a harmonium, tabla, jugalbandi. We had the children dancing to some tribal music. At the same time, we also had agriculture. Now, grade 10 students that they had agriculture and geography. And the school that we were visiting had these small patches of land that you can see in green. So our children learned to plow a field, and they've never even held all these instruments before. So they were given a little patch of land to clear and understand what the process is. Of course, they did not live there for enough days to grow a crop, but they understood the entire process that went into growing of crops. We had also in our classrooms given them the opportunity to create beadwork and other things. So some of the art integration you can see, of course, we will discuss it in another session. And there are many other things that we can be talking about. Like I would like you also right now to share with me any particular experiential learning, now that you would be understanding what experiential learning is all about. In your school, is there something in particular that you are following? You may unmute yourself one at a time and share what experiential learning activity you follow in your school, in your subject. Yes, Divya ma'am, would you like to share it?
Yeah, any of the teacher would like to share that what you do in your school? Lots of things are there. If anyone. Ma'am, actually, I will say because this school is already situated in the tribal area, right? And we take the students as a part of yearly planning for the field trip. Sometimes we take them to the town area. Sometimes we take them to the hospitals, to the banks, to the railway station as a part of regular part, yearly planner. So field trip is there already in the yearly planner. We also take them to the near to explore what is there in the GHATSILA area, what are the historical importance of your path where you are already residing. And with that also, we integrate it with geography sometime when you are going to visit, just see the rocks and what type of soil is available there, and then about it. Then at the same time, they also visit. Means mainly the field trip is focused till now. And Darjeeling and any teacher, anything else wants to share, please unmute and share. If you
Madam,
cannot put your camera on, then only.
we
Yes,
take
Sadanand,
the,
please.
yes, madam. We take the children to show the various statues that which are of great our local heroes. For example, Birsa Munda and others, so that they should know that our tribal heroes are there.
Very good, sir. That is really very amazing. I am glad, sir, you happen to show them at least Birsa Munda statue. I think the history that Birsa Munda carries behind him is something that every child in our nation should know.
Yes.
So I am very happy, sir. Are you a history teacher?
No, ma'am. I'm maths teacher.
Okay, and yet you take students to the Birsa
Yes,
Munda.
ma'am, yes, ma'am. Because we all are going together.
Up to primary section, he loves to take other classes also. Like we had EVS, he had science, he had maths. So during his EVS and science, so as a male teacher, he gives company to all if students are going there. And in his subject also, he does lots of experiments. Some Sadanand you would like to share. In maths also, you do some experiments.
Yes, ma'am. Recently, yes, in science also, when children are doing themselves, they learn better. So yesterday only I was doing experiment matter as I have shown to my madam also. So they learn better. When I explain in my way, that might not be understood. But when children make them own explain themselves, then they easily learn.
Okay, good. That's a very nice gesture, sir. Thank you for sharing. Divya Kumari ji, would you want to share something? I think you were trying to speak earlier. You had unmuted.
दिव्या जी आप हिंदी में बोल सकती हैं, शी इज अ संस्कृत टीचर.
हाँ,
सो
why
दिव्या जी
not?
आप हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं.
दिव्या जी अनम्यूट कीजिए, आप म्यूट मोड में हैं.
अनम्यूट कीजिए दिव्या जी, अनम्यूट कीजिए.
वो जो माइक्रोफोन दिख रहा है रेड वाला,
रेड वाला अभी तक आप म्यूट हैं.
नहीं मैम, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है दिव्या जी. आपका कैमरा टर्न हो रहा है. आपको एक रेड वाली स्विच दिखेगी.
माइक पे क्लिक कीजिए जी, माइक पे क्लिक कीजिए, वहां पर रेड स्विच दिखेगी, माइक पे क्लिक कीजिए. कुछ कहना है आपको चैट बॉक्स में लिखिए यस और नो, एंड देन अगर नहीं तो फिर
आप दोबारा भी आ सकती हैं दिव्या मैम, नो प्रॉब्लम. सो आई कैन यस दिव्या मैम.
नो मैम कुछ नहीं. Silpi, you have written in chat box about Max Market. So can you unmute yourself and say about Max Market?
Yes. For Max Market, ma'am, in junior primary classes, we have done to teach them the money transactions. In paper cutout, children have made the objects.
Okay.
Silpi is speaking.
Yes. I'll just add spotlight so we can see and everyone can see her. Ma'am, if you could start your video, please. Shilpi ma'am, is it possible?
Ma'am, video is not possible. That's why I'm doing the
In
audio.
poor network area.
Okay,
If you start
okay,
video,
okay.
हाँ,
Then I
वो
can't
network
give you
area.
the
that's why-
spotlight. Never mind. Talk about it.
Ma'am, Sadhana can
Yeah,
explain that.
yeah. Sadananji, you can also explain about maths market because you were in the team.
हाँ, we have done that, ma'am.
In
Bharat
math,
ma'am or Jeff sir, they can also explain.
in
Yeah,
math
the
market,
teachers are there. Yeah, please go ahead.
in math market, what we do, we ask the children, we just give the currency, some currencies we give it, they give them notes that is 10, 100 and ask them to go and purchase them. Some of the students sells things and some of the students purchase. And they learn how to get exchange of money. For example, suppose a cost of something is 10 rupees, but they have given 20 rupees, how to return the money, how much to give it. Then they to ask that how much profit they have made or loss they have made. So all profit, loss, then how to subtract, add, all we learn through this math market.
Unitary method,
Money calculations, basically.
Calculus, basic
money
calculation.
calculation.
Okay. So this is a really nice concept of a math market. And it must be giving. And which class do you do this concept with, sir?
4 and 5, class 4,
Oh.
5.
So class 4 and 5 can do this kind of a concept so well, sir?
It was usually conducted.
Yes, because 4 and 5 they are having.
Lovely, lovely. This is really amazing. I am very happy that you have a very experiential school to say, where the teachers are going and giving the students this kind of option. What about Jeff Richards, sir? I think he is having his video on, but he is quite shy about talking.
No, ma'am, not at all.
So have
Jeff
the
is
video
also in the
on.
same team. Jeff, yeah, he was also in the same math market team. Jeff, Bharat, Sadananji and Silpi. So Sadananji has
Okay.
presented in behalf of all. Namita ma'am, good evening. Namita ma'am has also joined us.
Namita ma'am has joined us, and that is
Hello.
why she is right here.
Good evening,
Yeah.
Khyati ma'am. Good evening,
Good
Tilotna
evening.
ma'am. Actually, we were having exam in school. I just returned, so I said, let me catch the tail end of your
Good,
workshop.
good, good. In fact, you've come at the most appropriate time, Namita ma'am, because listening to me it was not as great today as listening to the teachers here. Each one of them has such lovely experiences to share of experiential learning. It is really nice to know the kind of experiential learning exposure the school is giving. So somebody from a different subject who would like to share something? Or is it only the math teachers who are giving experiential learning?
Very true.
Daljit, anything? Because you take literature part, Daljit.
Daljit, you can, if you are there, you may switch on your video if possible. Then we can give you screen time as well. Farhad,
Jhumpa has
Parveen,
lots of Jhumpa, you have lots of things. Even in the online classes also you do good. So Jhumpa, you can also speak. Online
Daljit
games
ma'am is
also.
there. Daljit ma'am is there. Daljit ma'am, would you want to speak? Ma'am, you'll need to unmute. You're on mute mode. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like children learn very nicely, ma'am. When they do experience anything, they remember very nicely for a long time even, and it impacts on
Tell
their
about your
minds.
puppet part. Tell about your puppet part that you used to take in the
Yes, ma'am.
classes.
Yes, ma'am. In every classes in the primary section, ma'am, we are having a puppet in with us, and each and every puppet is a friend of ours. And if that firm doesn't come to our class, even we brought take it to the classes, the children were asking about, ma'am, उसको क्या हुआ, मैम हमारी माधुरी को क्या हुआ, आज वो नहीं आई. तो I told that he is very, if I forget to tell or if I am at house, if I am not able to connect it with, I am just saying she is very like is bimar hai, he's gone to hospital, he is not there. So or the way if any child is not listening to me, so that time I say to them, Madhuri bhi nahi sun rahi hai, माधुरी हमारी बात नहीं सुन रही है तो हम इसे इस तरह से. So that time they are always very interesting, and if I want to ask any question, or if I think children will ask some questions, so that time I said ki you ask questions to Madhuri, she will going to answer.
Okay.
So within the chapters, so they ask short questions to them, my puppet, and at the back I am answering that question. So they are very
Okay.
happy that Madhuri is asking the questions.
So
for me.
I have a question for you, ma'am, if you don't mind. Do the children make this puppet, or do you have these ready-made puppets, or you make them?
Ma'am, we do, even even once whenever the activities is accordingly. If the chapter is if the activities, whatever activities they are doing, they are also sometimes doing, and even we are doing. It's according to the chapter.
So it's my suggestion now, whichever lower grade this be, grade 2 or 3, where you have the puppet, which
Yes,
class
ma'am.
is it?
It's ma'am 3, 4, 2, 1, all the classes.
Okay, so in these 4 classes, you can teach them to make puppets.
Yes,
and give them the freedom to make stick puppets, string puppets, toy puppets, stuffed toy puppets, and see
Yes,
what
ma'am.
kind of puppets the children come with. You know, sometimes when the puppet is your own made and your own creation and it's kept in the class, the impact the puppet has is way different from the puppet that is made by the teacher and kept in the classroom. So
Yes.
my suggestion to you quite openly would be all the teachers teaching that particular grade can in some way or the other motivate children to come up with their own puppets, name their own puppets,
Surely,
and
ma'am.
interact with the puppets. So there will be an experience. It's like a toy-based learning as well. So
Sure.
the kind of interaction you will have with your students will really, really improve.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, ma'am. We will
Thank
do
you
it.
so
We'll
much,
surely
ma'am.
do it.
Thank you so very much, ma'am. So as I
Thank
can see, it is past 5 o'clock, and do we still have anyone sharing, or do we wish to end here, ma'am?
We can end. Anyone else? Because ma'am, your time is also very precious. We don't want to take your much time. So we can end.
Okay, so before I end, I'd like to
Ma'am,
thank, sorry?
Good evening, ma'am. Like in SST,
Subhajit sir wants to
part,
Subhajit
Yes,
sir.
Subhajit
Okay,
wants to.
Subhajit sir, great, great.
like in social science in the history part, when there was a chapter about the early people and their gradual improvement towards the 21st century. In that, the pottery making was there. So what I did, I asked the children to collect some soil and make handmade potteries as they can do. Not so perfect, but they have done, and they have shown many pottery work. Now I don't have those pictures. It's collected in the school system. So that is one type of experiential learning, that they have collected the soil, even though some of them live in flats, but they have also collected the soil and made their handmade potteries. That was a part of an activity that I did.
That is truly, truly wonderful, sir. In fact, maximum experiential learning approaches can be used by social science teachers very, very openly in the classroom. Like I showed you examples. We actually face a lot of problem because we live in a concrete jungle. We only have buildings and buildings around us. So when we need to take students to a rural area or a tribal area in particular, you can see out of a class of 40, a handful will only be willing to go. And then when they go, you see that smile and the happiness on their faces, because they've experienced something much, much different than what they would have experienced. So if you recollect the pictures that I have shown you, the entire feel is different. So yes, social science teachers have it in them to motivate students to go way beyond regular classroom teaching. So great, sir. I'm just happy that you are doing it. And as you progress in social science, I think even this was in grade 6 that you did, early man.
Yes, ma'am. Grade 6 during the lockdown period.
Yes, so you could even now, you will in grade 6 have geography where you have the mapping of the classroom areas.
Recently, I have done recently.
Yes, so you can
Previously, like
ask
about the
them, you can ask
latitudes
them
and
to
longitudes.
measure. You can ask them to bring a measurement of their own classroom or their own house and teach them that kind of mapping. Google Maps is what everyone can do.
Yes, ma'am. Now that about latitudes were also there. So as it was a lockdown period, so what I did, I took a sponge ball, considering it as a globe or a earth, and pasted stickers with the different latitudes, showing them along with the degrees, and a
Wonderful.
wire as a axis of the earth.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is truly amazing, sir. Thank you so much for sharing with us on this platform.
Thank you.
So before we end with today's session, let us take this opportunity to thank Tilottama ma'am for hosting this session, Namita ma'am from the Singhbam Sahodaya for coordinating and putting this session together, and of course Tarun Kumar sir, head CBSE COE Patna, for giving his brilliant suggestions to every Sahodaya, every DTC, and starting in-house training sessions online in this wonderful manner. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, Namita ma'am, you'd like to end?
Yes, I
But
would
yeah,
like
we are
to
little.
definitely.
Yeah,
I would
ma'am.
like to thank Khyati ma'am for giving her time and wonderful sessions. Of course, I missed the session due to COVID time, but I'm sure the school has gained, and in future we will be looking forward to many more suggestions. My dog is there asking for some attention now. So thank you so much, Tilottama ma'am, also for asking for this particular topic so that we could get Khyati ma'am to do it. Thank you to all the teachers who have shared. They have shared the experiences, the way they are doing wonderfully in the classrooms. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. We
much.
have one more session with you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are
Thank
looking
you.
again
Yes.
forward to the another session with you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, Namita ma'am.
Thank you so
teachers.
very much.
Our host can end the meeting. See you soon, ma'am.
Goodbye. See you.